Welcome and Happy New Year. It is now officially 2025, and there's a lot to say about the year that just passed, but here at TCK Media, we want to think to the future, and so this is going to be kind of a 2025 predictions sort of video. Now, I'm going to keep this video condensed specifically to things that are relevant to my industry, but there could be like a couple of random things, and there actually might even be some things that I've already hashed out. But join me as we talk about what I think is going to happen in 2025. So the main thing that I see happening in 2025 is that the conversation around AI is going to shift. I think primarily the AI arms race that's kind of been happening over the last year is going to slow down significantly, and you're going to kind of see a change in how people talk about AI. I don't inherently think that AI is going away, but I think certain companies are going to stop pushing the buzzword as aggressively. I think what's going to happen is a lot of people in the B2B space are going to stop using we're an AI powered firm, because if they're having conversations trying to sell their services to another company and that company's like, well, we're already using the same AI tools that you have, so what exactly can you provide us that the AI that we're already using can't? And so I think there's going to be a shift in mentality in how people market themselves, where instead of being like, we're using AI and powering it, they're going to maybe shift more to here's what we can do better than AI. And I think that's how a lot of companies need to start thinking about how to navigate the world in the post-AI generation, if that's even what we're going to call it. Now, again, the technology in no way isn't going away. It's going to stick around, but again, I think people are going to find more subtle ways to implement it. I talked about this a little bit in my AI has a problem video, but I think the future of AI is going to be less the in-your-face, look at this AI-generated image, and more of we're using AI to do these smaller tasks that are helping our productivity. And another thing I definitely think we're going to be seeing more of in AI next year is that we're going to see some class action lawsuits start happening as more and more of these AI models start to reveal that they were being trained on data without people's consent or compensation, and that's definitely going to cause a lot of hurdles for the technology. The next prediction I have has to do with social media, and that's basically TikTok is going away. That's very short term, but what I think is going to happen is a new social media platform is going to take its place. And I say this because I don't think any of the legacy platforms that have tried to implement TikTok like features have done a good job of attracting TikTok's user base, specifically the creators who create on TikTok and the users who specifically like the TikTok experience. What I think is going to happen is that a new social media platform is going to take its place. It might look similar to TikTok, but there will be enough differences from TikTok that will give it more of a novel approach. I think that's kind of going to be the thing that we see in social media continue on, is that every new platform has to have sort of a novel approach to attracting users, whereas a lot of legacy companies just seem to be playing the rip-off game constantly back and forth. Speaking of social media-based predictions, I think another thing we're going to see is that more and more algorithms are going to be favoring shorter content. Specifically, I'm looking at YouTube here. YouTube is basically on opposite ends of the spectrum with its algorithm, where it prioritizes either short-form content in the form of its shorts, where basically anything under a minute is what they're trying to kind of go for and serve that kind of content that way. And then they have their long form content where their algorithm seems to want people to be posting 4-hour long podcast live streams or just something. And like both of those things I don't think are super sustainable for creators, especially for what they want to make. I think a lot of content creators want to stop having to do these super long pieces of content, and they would want to focus more on things that get to the point or a little bit more concise, but still have enough meat that makes the content worth watching. So I can see YouTube shifting their algorithm to prioritize things more in that 10 to 30 minute category instead of the hour-long plus style of content that they seem to be pushing forward more often. I'm also curious to see if any platforms decide to take a page out of Blue Sky's book and allow people to have more control over what their algorithms look like. One of the things that I've noticed with a lot of legacy platforms is that their algorithms are their algorithms, and once you're down a path, it's hard to get off of it. And I think Blue Sky's model allows for more of ability for you to basically be like, I don't like where this algorithm is heading, can I please shift it over this direction? And I think that might actually be healthier for the internet long term, but I might just be being an optimist in this regard. Another prediction I have for 2025, and this might have some recency bias to it, but I think we're going to start seeing content creators get a little bit pickier when it comes to brand deals. Obviously, the big honey controversy is the thing that's kind of really making its rounds online these days, talking about specifically Honey's business practice of basically swooping in and taking away affiliate revenue from creators. And that's a broader conversation to have, but I think what's going to happen is a lot of bigger name creators are going to be very, very picky about who they partner with in some of their branded content and any of their sponsorship promos and everything else. But this is also going to piggyback off of the normal trend that we see where smaller creators will still be preyed upon for deals out of desperation. So people who are just getting their first foray into the online marketing world, and companies are going to take advantage of them. It's kind of a continuation of what we've already seen, but I think if bigger creators set a better example for smaller creators, it could lead to a better environment overall. Again, I might just be an optimist, but I'm hopeful. Give me a little credit for that. And then my final prediction for 2025 is content moderation is gonna get really, really bad. With Donald Trump coming back into office, I think we're gonna see online discourse feel a lot like it did back in 2016 through 2020. Platforms are gonna go back to being more hands-off with content moderation to avoid accusations of censorship, and this is kind of just the pendulum swinging back and forth. The conversations around censorship, content moderation, and everything else has its ebbs and flows. We saw after 2020 that a lot of platforms took a very hard stand in basically being a little bit more aggressive with content moderation. And now with the new administration coming in, I have a feeling that a lot of them are going to kind of revert back to more of a laissez-faire, hands-off approach. And this might be a back and forth that just kind of continues on over time, but it's frustrating because it puts everybody in a position of how do they navigate moderating their own content and their own discourse on their channels. You know, I'm not a perfect person, and I have the opinion that I have control over who and what is said on my channels. And if people don't like when I moderate, well, too bad. These are my opinions. I decide what I specifically have on my channels, whereas other people have the opinion that everybody should just allow everything. And when you do that, it all leads to a lot of abuse. And so there's no right solution to this problem. But I think we're definitely going to see, the powers that be start to shy away from making any, really strong-handed stances on anything anymore. Well, that's just some of my opinions of what I think is going to happen in 2025. I'd love to hear what you guys think is going to happen in maybe the online digital space over the next year or so. And do you think I'm wrong? Do you think I'm right? Am I overreacting? Am I underreacting? Am I too optimistic? Am I very pessimistic? Who knows? That's basically all a part of the discourse. Anyways, I'm Aaron Englund, and I'll see you guys next time.